Welcome to PLZ Soccer's post-match reaction to the Old Firm derby at Celtic Park today, where it finished Celtic 2, Rangers 3. And what a shot in the arm and what a week, Tam McManus, for Barry Ferguson.
Yeah, fantastic for Rangers, fantastic for Barry. You know, two big games, two big jobs this week. You know, get through the European tie against Jose Mourinho, Fenerbahçe. He's managed to do that, and then to go to Celtic Park and beat the champions is a fantastic result. A great shot in the arm for him, not only for possibly getting the Rangers job in the summer. And listen, believe it or not, I think there will be Rangers fans tonight, you know, thinking maybe Barry's a man for the job long term. There's no owners to come in, but when you look at the results he's had since he's come in big games, you know, it's a long time since Rangers beat Celtic at Parkhead. And on the first half display, I thought they deserved it, Peter. I thought second half Celtic were better, 2 each. You think Celtic have got the energy and the legs to go and win it, and fantastic goal for Igamane at the end. But no, going back to Barry, it's a tremendous result for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Give us your thoughts on the game itself. 90 enthralling minutes and beyond. And if you're ever looking for a great advert for Scottish football, this certainly was on the evidence of what unfolded at Celtic Park. And certainly, I don't think Rangers had read the script. Barry Ferguson was straight up, Tam, right from the off, because he basically said he was going to make sure that his team were in the high press, which they did, and executed it to great effect in that first 45 minutes.
Yeah, they did. They got after Celtic early doors, and I think that Celtic, you know, thought they would just come in and stroll into the game, and you don't get that in an Old Firm game, you know. And I thought that Rangers got their tactics bang on, you know, playing the three at the back. It's a very similar system than they played in Turkey, you know. Obviously got a great result over there, and they were compact, you know, didn't give much away to Celtic, and they were very dangerous on the break. You know, Schmeichel, I thought, you know, had a poor game today. I thought a lot of Celtic players had a poor game, and they want to pass straight to Czerny. You know, I think Czerny hits that first time his right foot, and it could be even worse for Celtic in the first half. So, yeah, I thought Barry was brave and he's approached it. I think Barry's going into Rangers thinking I've got nothing to lose. You know, that's what I get from Barry. I think he's going to go for it every game. I think he's thinking to himself, listen, I was out the game, I was doing punditry work. You know, what an opportunity, what a great opportunity for him to go in as a manager of Rangers. And it's a kind of free hit for him, you know, and he's shown that he's capable of doing the job after some disappointments in his managerial career. He's going to Rangers and he's proven that he knows what he's doing, because you look at the last two managers he's come up against. Jose Mourinho, he took care of him over 2 legs, and then Brendan Rodgers, 2 high-class managers, and Barry's got the better of both of them.
Yeah, 3-2 in the end. Give us your thoughts on the goals, on the mistakes, on the performances of players. Are there some players that you think just were not up to the job, who stood up to the job and stepped up to the plate to get pass marks in this classic derby? It had everything in there, of course. The referee, Stephen McLean, not at the forefront of any of the major decisions here. This was all about goals hitting the back of the net. And for Barry Ferguson, of course, he'll be absolutely delighted in this clash going to Celtic Park. And Rangers, it's been a long time since they've tasted victory at Celtic Park. Get a 3-2 win. Give us your thoughts on that. Were they deserving of it over the 90 minutes and beyond? Who was the star man for you? And what about Celtic fans out there? What happened? What went wrong? It's a great day for Barry Ferguson, and lots of people are saying at the moment, I predicted 2-1 to Rangers. And someone told me my team is going to get stuffed. Andrew McDermott, well happy with it. And of course, there are no tears of defeat. There are tears of joy at being champions again, says Les. But he feels as if Rangers were slightly dirty and the ref wasn't on top of it. I don't think that was a key issue at all. We're going to get Blair, who'll be reading out some of the Twitter messages and all our YouTube messages as well. But as far as the game's concerned, I've got to highlight the first 45 minutes. One particular player that I thought, was a real standout. Raskin. The goal, first of all, the header, he out-jumped Schlupp, who's taller than him.
Yeah, he did, and he's done it a couple of times. He's obviously quite small in stature, but so was Henrik Larsson. If you've got good timing, Peter, you can get across people and you can time it, you can get goals, and you know, nobody in the whole pitch would have thought he'd have scored a header. And you're right, he got across Schlupp, lovely little glancing header. Celtic were disappointed. There was nobody in the back post to clear it. That's something obviously they do in set pieces. There was nobody, if there was somebody in the post, he'd have cleared that. But great header. And it was what Rangers deserved, Peter, at the start of the game, you know, and they went after Celtic. And I think when you look at Celtic as a team, you look at the last 3 games, you know, the one at Ibrox and the cup final. You know, I think Rangers have got a recipe to go after Celtic, and I think they've. Listen, the final could have went either way, penalty kicks, but definitely the game, You know, at Ibrox, you know, Rangers pressed Celtic and they didn't like it. Again today for 45 minutes they went after and pressed Celtic. I think you've got to do that against Celtic. If you sit back against Celtic, you know, you're just waiting to get beat. And Rangers showed again today that if you can go and press, Falkirk showed it earlier in the season, going to Parkhead and being brave. You know, you've got to be brave because you're opening up 1 or 2 passes, you could be 3 or 4 players out of the game. So I thought Barry got his tactics bang on, and Raskin, you know, Diomande in there with Barron. I thought those 3 dominated the Celtic 3 in there, and that was a key as well.
Yeah, as well as his goal, the build-up to the second move, Tam, he has a sublime glancing header, which allows the ball to take out the central defender, and there's Diomande with space and time to just sweep it into the back of the net. At that point, the one thing that I was thinking about at that point when Diomande put the ball in the back of the net is you could hear the Rangers fans enjoy it. 2,500 in. I'm still adamant I'd like to see more away supporters in there, but nevertheless, those 2,500 fans get the chance to enjoy that.
Yeah, they did, and I thought that added to the atmosphere of the game. I think the Celtic fans, it was the same against Hibs last week. You know, the Celtic fans, you know, they reacted to the away support. They did it again today. You could hear the Rangers fans before the game, during the game. I think it must have gave them a big shot in the arm. Peter, when you come out as a Rangers player, you look over, you see 2,500 in that corner, you think, right, come on, let's go today. You know, we can't let these guys down. So, and they didn't. Diomande got the second goal, and you know, Celtic came into it just towards the end of the first half. But I thought there was so many players off form for Celtic. I think it started at the back. Schmeichel, thought he looked nervous. His distribution is usually good. I thought Rangers went and pressed him at times as well, and he obviously gave the one away to Czerny.
I was going to say to you, and picking up on this, at that point, you know, sometimes, and Blair's going to give us some thoughts from everybody watching the game. Give us your thoughts on what you thought of the match, the goals that were scored, key decisions, players that played well, players that were offered, as Tam said. We'd love to hear from you on our Twitter account, and of course, we'd love to hear you on our YouTube channel here. This post-match reaction to the game, Rangers 3-2, great win for Barry Ferguson. You talked about Schmeichel being off it. When he passed that ball to Czerny, I don't know about you, but why doesn't he just hit it right away?
He didn't trust his right foot. Didn't trust it, Peter. And
take a swing at it and you go 2-0
I know, but he didn't trust it. He could probably reach the goal, let's be honest. I mean, he's very, very strong on his left side. You can see Czerny, he obviously favours his left side. I agree, if he just have a swing at it, it probably goes in, but he didn't trust it. He'd take an extra touch and then the chance was gone. But yeah, I think from Celtic at the back, you know, trying to play through, Rangers pressed them. They kept giving the ball away. I thought Schlupp at times, you know, didn't look great. I thought Alistair Johnston did a poor game.
Yeah. No, McCowan looked like a competition winner.
McCowan was poor, but I thought Kuhn, I mean, he's not in the same form, Peter, as was early in the season. I thought he bottled it against Ridvan. He didn't fancy himself 1v1 v Ridvan.
He's been off it since Munich.
Yeah, he has, and he looked lightweight.
Yeah.
And you know, I spoke to my dad at half time. I says, listen, he should change it. He should take him off at half time, put Ida on and put Maida wide. And to be fair to Brendan, he didn't wait about. He done it. And Celtic got that lift, got the goals and really dominated the second half. But I think over the piece, if you look at the whole game, maybe a draw was probably a fair result. But you've got to give credit to Rangers. They looked dead on their feet. The last 10-15 minutes, Celtic were on top. And to go up the park and Barry again making substitutions, guy comes on and scores. So it's a perfect day for Barry Ferguson, you know, in terms of being a Rangers manager and going to Celtic and winning and all the kudos that will come with that. So yeah, I think you've got to give him and Rangers great credit today.
What a week for Rangers. Fenerbahçe managed to see them off and then goes into the cauldron of Celtic Park. Silences the crowd on 3 occasions. Give us your thoughts on that. Rangers fans out there, well worthy of the win. Should Barry get the job? Who was the standout player for you? Blair Malloy is our reporter who's monitoring some of the messages that are coming in. If you want to post a message on our X account and of course on the YouTube feed, please by all means, if you're a football fan, try and keep it sensible and give us your intellectual overview on the game and your football knowledge. If, on the other hand, you want to be abusive, then why not go onto the fanzines, because they're great places for people who have their head firmly up their back end. Blair?
Yes, Peter, all the chat is about Barry Ferguson so far. A little stat here, he becomes the first Rangers boss to win his first match at Celtic Park since Walter Smith in 1991, and that is dominating the chat on the YouTube feed. We're running a little poll. Do fans think that Barry Ferguson should get the job full-time as Rangers boss after, as you said, a quite incredible incredible week. Currently 67% say that yes, he should get the job full time. A lot of people here saying that they didn't fancy Barry Ferguson at the beginning, but he's managed to work his way in. Didn't fancy Barry, thought he lacked the experience, but need to swallow a little bit of humble pie. He's done well this afternoon. So a lot of fans discussing what an afternoon for the Rangers manager. But of course, Celtic fans are beginning to bite back, saying that the league is over anyway and it doesn't really matter.
Well, I've yet to. I'm not quite sure if I've ever witnessed a Celtic Rangers match that doesn't matter.
I think everyone matters, Peter.
Absolutely.
Everyone.
It matters because of the bragging rights, and you get a situation where, 2,500 Rangers fans will be heading into the cars and the buses, absolutely ecstatic. If you can think about this Sunday, how many pubs up and down the country where there are Rangers fans in those pubs just absolutely going berserk because they got that late winner. We've talked about a couple of things that happened in that first half. Hatate had an unbelievable chance, which Butland yet again with a top drawer save.
Yeah, I mean, you'd just expect that in S from the top corner, Peter. He's great at that. Hatate obviously scored the goal today, but that one just cutting across it and went in a little reverse into the top corner, and Butland, went up and saved it. It was a fantastic save from him, and at that point, if Celtic got the goal just before half-time, you'd have maybe fancied them in the second half. But again, the Sterling clearance, I think it's Maeda's header. It was a big moment in the game as well. It's a wonderful clearance from Sterling. But I think when you look at Rangers, and I think the changing point for Rangers has been going to a back three, Peter. I think they were playing the four and had a couple of poor results. They went to three at the back at Fenerbahçe, and I think it suited them. I think Tavernier playing in that centre back area is really suited him as well. I don't think he's got the legs to be a wing back anymore. And the three in the middle of the park, he's got three dogs in there. He's got three hard working guys in there. Aye, they've got ability as well. Raskin's a good player, but Barron in there and Diomande, they've got three guys in there that really graft, and they got after Celtic today, and they've got pace in the counter with Cherny, who looked dangerous in the first half, and obviously Dessers. So I think he's got his tactics bang on, Barry. And as I said, the change from the 4 at the back to the 5 at the back has brought great dividends for him the last week.
If anything, Tam, that was going to be a worry for Barry at half-time was quite simply, you're 2-0 up in the match, and the message is, listen, you're going to run out of gas. They're going to come at you, then just try and soak it up. But they couldn't. 3 minutes into the second half, Maeda out-jumps the back line. He out-jumps, I think, Sterling and Tavernier to score to get it to 2-1.
Yeah, it did, and I think at that point, if you're a Celtic fan, you're thinking game on. And the Rangers had a really tough game during the week. I think in the latter stages of this game, Celtic can go and win the game. Obviously, 120 minutes during the week, I think Rangers would have been leggy. And
did you sense they were running out of gas?
I did run about 60-70, Peter. When Celtic got the equaliser to go 2 each, I thought Celtic were going to win this now. But Rangers, I think Barry made subs at the right time. I think he brought fresh legs on at the right time. He changed it up in the middle of the park. He obviously had to bring Proper on as well. So I think the changes gave Rangers a little bit more energy.
Igamane and Lawrence.
Igamane and Lawrence come on, and I think Proper come on at the back. So I think they come on and gave them something. But at 2 each, I think Rangers would do well to hang on for a point here. But to be fair to them, they got the park. I think Igamane gets a little bit of a break of the ball, but his finish is top drawer. And I think that's the first goal he scored in 9 or 10 games. So he's not been quite on it at the minute, but he will go home the hero tonight for Rangers. Yeah,
we're going to talk about the formations, the players. Give us your thoughts on it. What about tactics? Did Barry get it 100% spot on? You can do it on our X account on social media, and you can also do it on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. On a day when it finished Celtic 2, Rangers 3, and that Igamane goal, he took full advantage of the slip by Alistair Johnson. He still had a bit to do though, Tom.
Yeah, he certainly did. As I say, he's absolutely powered that Schmeichel with no chance. And again, Alistair Johnson, another Celtic player, just off it today. I think he's been very good for Celtic, but Celtic had too many players off their game today. You look at it as a whole, who was past. I thought Engels was okay. I saw Noroki coming in. I thought he played pretty well as well for a guy that's been basically in Siberia for 6 months, coming in at a big game like that. Thought he looked okay, but apart from that, Maeda, again played well, scored, Hatate, but there wasn't many Celtic players that you could say were really at it today, and that's the difference. And listen, Rangers have scored 9 goals against Celtic in the last 3 games. So if you're a Rangers fan, you're going home tonight thinking, listen, we need to sort out our form against other teams, because certainly in the last 3 games against Celtic, they have got their tactics bang on, and they've scored 9 goals against them. And bar, obviously the final, there've been 3 wins. So I think they have sorted and proven that they've got a way of going and beating Celtic now.
Yeah, and if you are potentially part of the investment group looking at Rangers over the last week, I mean, you've got a bouncing Ibrox getting through against Fenerbahçe, and then you've got, against your great rivals, a fantastic win. Barry Ferguson will be as high as a kite. Has he put himself at the forefront of maybe possible new owners at Rangers? And if there are not new owners, has he put himself at the forefront of the existing board, as if to say this could be the man who understands the DNA of Rangers? He's been a player, a legend, top player, and now nothing would please him more in his life than to get that job of Rangers manager on a permanent basis. Blair Malloy is our reporter. Blair, what's the reaction from fans of Rangers and Celtic?
Quite a lot of chat about the mentality that Barry Ferguson has maybe instilled in this team in the short period of time that he's been there. I think Barry has gathered the right assistants together, talking about that squad of backroom staff that he's managed to assemble there. Another comment here from John. Barry has brought back the DNA of the club, no matter the experience, obviously talking about how he's a novice, but he knows Rangers through and through. He's been there and done it as a captain. And Mark Vaughan, regular contributor to the show, a long time watcher. Fight, passion, determination, not seen in a long time at Parkhead.
Yeah, absolutely. There are times when you had that kind of a insipid feel about Rangers under Philippe Clement, but there's none of that with Barry. He's absolutely living it, kicking it out on the park at every moment of that game, showing that he cares. And I'll tell you one thing, if midweek was a high where he's jumping on the back of one of the players, you could tell he was actually just trying to keep a lid on the emotions. There was a slight fracas behind the Rangers dugout.
Yeah, I've seen that.
You don't want to get involved in that becoming the focus of attention, because it takes away from the fabulous performance of the Rangers players.
No, listen, the Rangers management team bench is entitled to celebrate a last-minute goal against Celtic at Parkhead. You know, you're going to be delighted. It'd be the same if it was the other way. Ibrox and Celtic scored late on to win a game. So, yeah, as long you're just hoping that there's no trouble at the game, because you don't want that, as you said, to overshadow a fantastic performance and result from Rangers and for Barry. But yeah, just going back to what they're saying about Rangers under Barry. You know, Barry's been there as a player. He knows what it takes. You know, he's won 3 times at Parkhead. He's won trophies at Rangers. I think he just needed to go in and shake it up a little bit and just get players, you know, appreciating what it means to play for Rangers, and they've done that. I think he's got players playing better. I think he's got a system that suits certain individuals. People were saying, "Oh, Barry just going to get in and it's going to be old school kind of dinosaur, you know, rolling at players." I don't see any sign of that at the side of the park, Peter. I think he's pretty measured, and tactically he's been excellent in the 2 games, 3 games against Fenerbahçe and again today. So, no, I think if you're a Rangers supporter, I always thought this: if Barry done really well at Rangers, if the Rangers supporters love him, they were singing his name before the game, they're singing his name after the game. I think there'll be a real groundswell for Barry, particularly if they go and beat Athletic Bilbao over 2 legs and get to the semi-final and finish the season strongly. But it's out of his hands, and the only thing that Barry can do is put himself in the shop window, not only for Rangers but for someone else.
Yeah, if they beat Athletic Bilbao, go on to win the Europa League, and then make
He doesn't get the job.
make a really storming finish to the season, I would suggest they'll be calling for a knighthood for him. Never mind making him the manager. James Tavernier and Nico Raskin right after the game on Sky Sports saying it's a good week for the club. The gaffer wanted us to go aggressive and to put the pressure on Celtic, and boy did they do that, because that is where the tactics were spot on. Now, and I think this is something that always irks me when you get a situation when there's a game like this and it's so tight and there's 1 goal either way, that sometimes, and we're all guilty of it in the media, sometimes because you're talking about the champions who are so far ahead, you start to highlight who's off it. Whereas I would rather focus on the positives of how Rangers actually took the game to Celtic. I think that's where the great credit here. I mean, granted, Celtic were always going to come back after a half-time team talk from Brendan Rodgers, but you're talking about Brendan Rodgers' Celtic side heading towards the title against a novice in Barry Ferguson, at this level. And he's come to Celtic Park and he's managed to get the win, and the players have all stepped up and bought into what he's been asking them to do.
Yeah, I thought he planted the seeds in the press conference, Peter, when he spoke about players being tired and not being tired, and it's an old firm game, and that tiredness is not an excuse. I think psychologically that sent a message to his players thinking, right, okay, we've had a tough game during the week, but we're still going to go and press Rangers. You know, tiredness is in the mind, and they went and done that today. From the first minute, they pressed Celtic. They couldn't keep that up for 90 minutes, but that was when the subs come into it. he's probably thinking if we can do it for 50, 60 minutes, we can bring some guys on and keep continuing it to the end. So, yeah, I think Brendan Rodgers and Celtic have done that to so many teams. But honestly, the last 2 games that I've seen, Ibrox and then today, I think Rangers have been excellent against Celtic. They've really got their tactics spot on and they've went and pressed Celtic. I think Celtic missed Callum McGregor massively today, Peter. And I think that Callum, we've seen the last 2 games he's come off injured. Obviously he's been carrying a calf injury. I thought they missed his calming influence hugely in the middle of the park today, because I looked at Luke McCowan. He's obviously a promising player, and that's really his first real taste of an Old Firm game as a start. And I thought it passed him by a little bit. Engels, I felt they missed somebody just to put his foot in the ball and maybe make a few passes, and the crowd were getting anxious. And I think Callum McGregor, you don't appreciate what you've gone. A little bit like Scott Brown when he left, and to a certain extent Neil Lennon. Those guys are a real calming influence in there when it's 100 mile an hour.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to give a man by man marking on this game as well, Tam, because if anything, I thought Luke McCowan was way off it, and again that gap, that you're talking about, that bridge really between the back line to the midfield to going wide or going down the middle is McGregor's forte. McCowan just could not handle the press. I thought Rangers were on him. I thought every time he tried to lift his head, there was somebody there, and he didn't grasp that McGregor's greatest quality is finding little pockets of space where he can turn around and lift his head, and he didn't do that. The one thing I would say in his defence, though, his pass for Hatate's goal was sublime.
Yeah, he was. He never had, Peter. He didn't have a great game, but he kept trying to get on the ball, which is something I noticed. But the energy that Rangers had in the middle of the park was a massive factor in winning the game. I thought the first half they just swarmed all over Celtic's midfield 3 and really got after Celtic. So, yeah, you can say Celtic missed Callum McGregor, and they did. But I think that Brendan made a good change at half-time. I thought bringing Ida on gave them a physical presence up front. I thought they kept trying to go over the top to Maida, and it didn't really work the first half. And I thought, that was a good tactical substitution at half-time to bring Ida on, pull Kuhn off, who was poor on the day, and move Maida wide, and that gave Celtic a little bit of a spark in the second half. But Rangers will take all the plaudits tonight, and rightly so. I think you're right to highlight how good they were rather than how poor Celtic were.
Yeah, absolutely. Having a little bit of a technical issue with the live going down, but it'll be back on our YouTube channel shortly, and you can give us your thoughts. Blair, some of the messages coming in.
Yeah, Peter, it seems to be, again, a lot of talk about Barry Ferguson. A couple of fans not too happy with you, Tam, saying that Celtic weren't at it today, and saying that Rangers made Celtic not be at it, which I think is a very interesting point of view of that one. Some of the stats today, Celtic really dominated possession for much of that game, ending the game with 72% possession to Rangers at 28%. I think that was mostly in that second half. Celtic 14 shots to Rangers 10. I think Celtic dominating in that second half, especially when it comes to the possession, but Rangers really coming alive when it mattered, especially at the end there with Hamza Igamane.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of people giving us their thoughts on the overall. I'm going to get your thoughts, Tam, on one key issue, which is who was the man of the match in your mind?
Oh, I think it would have to be a Rangers player, Peter, with the victory. I thought Nico Raskin was superb. I think he'd be in the mix. I thought James Tavernier played well as well. So, I mean, looking at overall, John Souttar had a good game at the back, solid. So I'll go for Raskin. Yeah. I thought he was excellent. Scored the first goal, and his energy the full game. I thought he did a superb performance, and it's easy to see why he's in the Belgian squad. He's really came to form. I seen Barry talking in his press conference yesterday, which was quite funny, saying that he's improved him in 2.5 weeks as a player. That's how he's in the Belgian squad. So I think Conor Barron looks a different player as well. I think they've got a great mentor. You couldn't ask for a better player as a central midfield player at Rangers to go and see Barry Ferguson, go and speak to him, go and pick his brains. Barry giving you little tips how to go on the ball, and I think it's great for them as a central midfield player to have him as your manager.
Yeah, absolutely. Give us your thoughts on the game. When you were watching it unfold, did you think Rangers surprised Celtic with the way they went about their business in the first 45 minutes? We want to hear from you on that. Do you want to do Rangers man by man or Celtic man by man? Which one are you going to
We'll start with the home team first.
Yeah, let's start with the home team. Okay, Schmeichel out of 10.
Oh, 4, Peter.
Yeah.
I thought he was Listen, he's been superb for Celtic, there's no doubt about that, but his distribution caused Celtic a lot of problems early in the game. I don't think he had any chance with the goals, but I'll go for 4. I didn't think it was his best game. 4 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I'll go 4. Alistair Johnston.
Probably another 4, Peter. You know, again, been a tremendous player for Celtic. Just didn't have a good game, Peter. You know, wasn't great on the ball. His mistake caused the goal at the end, a little slip. I'll go 4 out of 10 as well.
Cameron Carter-Vickers.
Yeah, I thought it was okay, Peter. I thought it was pretty solid. I'll go for 5. I'll go for a 6 out of 10 for him.
Yep. Narovsky.
I thought he played well, Peter. You know, as I said, he's just come in from FC Siberia for the last 6 months, and that was an interesting, obviously, Scales and Trusty are out injured, so he came in, and I don't think he put a foot wrong. To be honest, I thought he played well, so I'll go 7 out of 10.
Okay. What about Jeffrey Schlupp?
Jeffrey Schlupp, I thought average, Peter. Don't think he had a great game first half, but in particular, I'll go for 5 out of 10 for him.
Yep. Luke McCowan.
6 out of 10. You know, I didn't think he had a great game first half. I thought second half he was better. You know, he had an assist, didn't hide. I'll go 6 out of 10 for him.
Wow, I'll give it a 4. I'm quite scathing on that one. Engels.
Okay, don't think it was great, Peter. Don't think it was bad. I'll go 6 out of 10 for Engels.
Yep. Okay. Hatate.
Thought he played pretty well, Peter. Thought he was one of Celtic's better players. Scored the goal, unlucky with the other one that the keeper saved. I'll go 6 out of 10.
Yep. Nicholas Kuhn.
I'm loath to give anyone a 1 out of 10, Peter, but I'm going to give him a 1 out of 10. I thought he was dreadful in the first half.
Yep. 1 out of 10.
I'm going to give him 1 out of 10.
Wow.
And that was just for his effort in the first half. His work rate.
Yeah. I'd probably give him a 3 to be fair. Maeda.
Scored the goal, constant threat. Yeah, I thought he was Celtic's best player, Peter. I'll go 7 out of 10 for Dyson.
Yep. Jota.
The end of the first half, he started to get a wee bit of joy against Sterling. Little nutmeg, and he was unlucky with a couple of shots. Second half, drifted out the game. 6 out of 10 for me.
Okay, and I'm going to start off the Rangers ones, and then you can jump in. Jack Butland, I'm going to give Jack Butland a 7. I thought he was solid and produced an absolutely top drawer save from Hatate. And these key saves are sometimes the difference in these big games, depending on where it is in the overall time frame of the match. Dujon Sterling, I give him a 6. Thought he was more than capable in that back line, that back three that Barry adopted. Suter, what do you give for Sterling?
Yeah, I'll go 6 out of 10 as well, Peter. I thought he was pretty solid.
Butland, yeah.
Butland 7 out of 10, aye.
Yeah. Suter, I'm going to give him a 7. I thought he was solid. Really.
Yeah, I'm going to give him an 8. I thought he was a really good game, Peter.
Yeah.
I thought he played really well. I'll go 8 out of 10.
Balogun, I would give him an 8.
Yep, solid.
Yep.
Obviously come off injured, but what did you see, 39? 38, 39. Still probably Rangers' best centre half.
Yeah. James Tavernier, I'm going to give him a 7.
Yeah, he was solid, Peter. No mistakes, and listen, he's took so much criticism in this fixture, particularly at Parkhead, for people getting across him and being at fault for goals. And yeah, I thought he was pretty solid. I agree with that.
And I'm going to give Raskin a 9.
Yep, I thought he was best player in the park. Peter, I'll go 9 out of 10 for him as well.
Yeah, I'm also going to give Barron an 8 because I thought he really put in a shift.
They set the tone, Peter, early doors. He had 2 or 3 fouls early doors. Like you could sense the Celtic fans getting frustrated at the referee. But listen, I'm sure Barry said to them before the game, listen, get in and get a couple of tackles. Go and put your mark on the game.
Yeah.
And without getting booked and without going over the top, go and give somebody a slap. And they done that, and that just sent the message early doors. So I'd agree, an 8 out of 10 for him.
Yilmaz, I'm going to give him a 7.
Yeah, I thought Yilmaz played well as well, Peter. I thought he had Kuhn in his pocket in the first half. I think Kuhn totally bottled it against him. You could see, after 5 or 6 attempts to try and get by him, he just thought, this is not happening, I'm just going to pass the ball inside. So I think he's a player that's never let Rangers down. So I'll go, 7 out of 10 for Ridvan as well.
Yeah. And as I look at the front three, Czerny, probably I'll give him a 6. I don't think he was as effective as he was midweek. I
thought he looked really dangerous at times, Peter, but his final product wasn't great, which is unlike him.
And he faded out.
I think he looked as if he blew a gasket second half. I think he played the full 120 during the week and he was knackered today, so Yeah, 6 out of 10.
Yeah, and Cyril Dessers for me. There's Cyril Dessers with 2 S's in the middle, and then an S at the end, and then there's a clone somewhere. Cyril Dessers, who he's never there.
Honestly, it was anonymous today. He didn't do anything at all.
I'll give him a 5.
Yeah, he didn't do anything at all. And that's an enigma that is Cyril Dessers. You know, he's either sugar or shite, let's be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a T-shirt if ever I heard one. And Mohamed Diomande, I'm going to give him an 8.
Yep, thought he played well, Peter. I thought that those 3 in the middle of the park really were the key to winning the game for Rangers. The energy they showed, getting up and supporting the striker, great finish into the corner. He's a player for me that I didn't really fancy at the start. I thought, I'm not sure about him for the money they paid, but he's definitely coming onto a game and looking more impressive by the week.
Yeah, we'll hear the comments of some of the players. We've told you what Nico Raskin and James Tavernier had to say. We'll hear from Barry Ferguson, and of course we'll get the comments out of Brendan Rodgers as well. What about your thoughts on this one? It's Rangers who win it by 3-2 at Celtic Park, and 3 seems to be the magic number that everybody enjoys in these matches. Rangers won it at Ibrox by 3-0 Celtic earlier on in the season, and of course there was the draw at Hampden that eventually went to penalty kicks, which 3 featured prominently. So, Blair, lots of people want to comment on it. This is the joy of the derby.
Yes, we've got some thoughts from Rangers and Celtic fans. Ian, a Rangers fan on the YouTube channel. I'm a Rangers fan. We played well in the first half. Celtic came back, but as you say, Tam, they had nothing to lose. Hamza with an absolute peach of a strike. So that was Ian there, happy with the result. John Barr on Facebook, I think he is a Celtic fan, outplayed in the first half. A couple of great saves from Butland. Outplayed them in the second half, then get beat by a mistake. But we need to stop this rubbish that Celtic are miles ahead of Rangers, because we're not.
Well, what do you make of that, Tam? It's a good point.
That's a good point. I think Rangers have shown in a one-off game that they're a match for Celtic. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think the disappointing thing for if you're a Rangers supporter is your inconsistency against other teams. For Rangers to play like they have in the last 3 games highlights how poor they've been the rest of the season. To be 13 points behind Celtic, so Celtic take care of the other games, the bread and butter games, the domestic games, the St Mirrens, the Ross Counties. They just go up there and win games. They go away from home, win, and at home they win as well. And Rangers struggle against these teams that sit in a low block. So I just thought the game again today for Rangers, it suited them. They could go and play in a European type situation where you've got a team coming on and attacking them in Celtic. You can sit in a low block and you can go and hit a counter attack. And I thought it was a very European like performance from Rangers today. And they've been impressive in Europe away from home for years. And that was the key for it today at Parkhead for me.
Yeah, shots on target 6 from Celtic, 5 from Rangers. Shots off target 7 from Celtic and 4 from Rangers. Overall possession in this one, the percentages of it, I always think you can have all the possession you want in a match, but it's the goals that count, and the 3 goals from Rangers managed to see off the 2 from Celtic. What did you make of it all once it got to 2-2? Did you think there was only going to be one winner on the home side? Or if you're a Rangers fan out there, did you just feel with the tactical changes from the manager that these key decisions swayed the game to Rangers once again? Certainly on the evidence of Igamane's finish, which was absolutely top drawer. Took a little nick off Cameron Carter-Vickers, but still, great goal.
Yeah, keeper had no chance, and as I said, he's been disappointing in recent months. I think from January onwards, there was a wee bit of speculation about him. He'd hit the hat trick against Hibs. He was in real good form for Rangers, and I think speculations maybe affected him in terms of being a young player and thinking that he'd possibly get a big move. He didn't get that, and he's got to knuckle down and get back into the team at Rangers. But goals like that in a big moment in a big game, really endear yourself to the Rangers supporters. And as I said, they'll go away tonight in the pubs and the bars will be singing his name because he's a hero at the end of the day. But took his goal well, got a little break of the ball from Johnson, and listen, Schmeichel had no chance with the goal.
Just out of curiosity, and this is the key, we've talked about the real stars for Rangers in this game, and I think all the plaudits and all the praise should go Rangers' way. To go to Celtic Park after the week they've had of 120 minutes and penalty shootout against Fenerbahçe, to go into the cauldron of Celtic Park in that atmosphere and then stand up and take the game to Celtic in that first 45 minutes. Barry Ferguson deserves tremendous praise. And then in the flip side of that, coming up against Brendan Rodgers and without McGregor, and by the way, he's taken McGregor off sometimes in the last few games. You know, sometimes if he feels as if he's maybe, as he knows, carrying an injury or running out of gas, but when he's not there, I just thought that there was a real miss, a real bridge between back, middle and front, and that was there for everybody to see.
Yeah, I just thought there's a real nervousness about Celtic, Peter, and it's unusual for a team that's 16 points clear and on the way to another treble to be really nervy. And listen, we speak about home advantage in these games, and it is a big factor, but it's only a big factor if you start the game properly. And if you lose the first goal, you've seen that at Ibrox when Rangers have got 50,000 there. You lose the first goal, that home advantage goes out the window because the other team starts to play with a bit of confidence. The pressure's off. And Rangers done that today. So, yeah, I was surprised at the way Celtic started the game because I seen the game against Hibs the previous week and they started like a whirlwind. You know, they were all over Hibs at the start, and I expected that again today against a Rangers team that they would have thought would have been leggy from midweek, but the complete opposite happened. The Rangers got a couple of early corners, got themselves high up the pitch, were brave and really got after Celtic. So, yeah, I think if Callum McGregor, I think, is a massive miss. He's been a great player for Celtic, but I don't think that's the only reason that they kind of lost the game today.
Yeah, absolutely. Full praise to Rangers. The performances, Nico Raskin, absolutely brilliant in the middle of the park, and Barry Ferguson were well aware of his qualities as a player, but as a manager, we are not aware of them at this level. What he has done is he's managed to come in there. Of course, Kilmarnock was a great fight back then. Suddenly you're saying to yourself, St Mirren, these results obviously can hurt and harm an interim manager trying to obviously lay his marker down. And when you get to a situation where you're suddenly looking at the latter stages of a European competition, knocking out a team like Fenerbahçe and the amount of money they've spent, and then you go into a game against a manager who has been by far and away the best manager over the last couple of seasons in Brendan Rodgers, and at Celtic Park.
Yeah, I think that Barry will be going to the board and saying, listen, can we just play every game away from home? Because I think they've lost 3 games at Ibrox, is that right? Well, they've lost to St Mirren, Motherwell and Fenerbahçe.
It was 4 in a row. I think it's the first time Rangers lost 4 in a row. And then, in a long time, Queen's Park, St Mirren, Motherwell and Fenerbahçe, yeah. And
then away from home, they've beat Celtic, beat Fenerbahçe, beat Kilmarnock. So, I don't know what it is. I don't know it's obviously teams coming a little bit more defensive at Ibrox. And I just don't think that Rangers players can cope with that pressure at Ibrox. I think they play a little bit freer away from home. When teams come onto them and attack them, but Rangers need to, and Barry need to sort that home form out from now to the end of the season, because if he wants to he's put himself in the mix to get the job now, but if he goes and loses his next game at Ibrox, I don't know who Rangers' next game is against, Peter, but they need to go and win that. They've got Dundee away from home, and then they've got Hibs at home, so listen, you can see them going to Dundee and winning, but Hibs at home will be a tricky game for them, but yeah, they've got to sort their home form out, but away from home they've been brilliant under Barry.
Yeah, since he's come in, of course, the win over Kilmarnock, that loss to Motherwell, people then questioning it and saying, well, he hasn't got what it takes, he hasn't got that magic touch. But to be fair to him, Barry has mentioned on a number of occasions, look, I've had 1 day to work with him, I've had 4 days to work with him, I've had a chance to do this with him. He mentioned ahead of this game that, coming in yesterday, it was a kind of a light training session because of their exertions in midweek. And again, he's able to get the game plan over, ably assisted by his backroom team, and they're able to execute it. I wonder what the feeling is, Blair, among Rangers fans about whether he's worthy of a shot. Should we be even looking at it in a knee-jerk reaction basis here?
Yeah, I think the Rangers fans are generally quite happy with how it's going so far. I think, like I mentioned earlier, the mentality that he spoke about trying to instill into this Rangers team is really something that we're seeing coming to the fore. I can bring you some early quotes here from Barry Ferguson speaking to Sky Sports just after the game. He said that we deserved it, and that's the kind of performance, that's what it takes to play with Rangers. And you can just imagine he will have been in that dressing room and he will have those players fired up. He will tell them what these games mean if they were in any doubt about what it was all about. A very interesting point here from Les on the YouTube feed. He said, I don't think that having a week off is an advantage. Of course, Celtic not playing in the week, Rangers coming off the back of 120 minutes against Fenerbahçe on Thursday. He says, a team can lose momentum and form in those gaps. Interesting to see your take on that, Tam. If you're coming off the back of a big game, do you want to keep playing, especially when it's a big game like this? Do you want to go into it, or do you want those fresh legs?
I think if you're winning, you do. I think if you're winning, you don't feel tired. It's amazing. If you're on a winning run, you could play every day, because your confidence is high. You don't think about, oh, I'm tired, I've got a sore calf, I've got a sore hamstring. If you're getting beat, suddenly you feel leggy, you've lost confidence. So, yeah, I probably agree with that point. I think if you're playing well and you're winning games, then you want your games to come up quick, thick and fast. But if not, it's the opposite of that. You feel leggy and tired. So, yeah. Listen, I think the Rangers have got plenty of staff in there. I think they've probably filled them up with the food and everything they needed, the nutrients to go again today, and they showed that they finished the game strongly. So, no, I agree with that.
Yeah, James Tavernier telling Sky Sports, obviously happy to get the result. We had a really good first half and maybe sat off a bit much in the second half of the game. Delighted to get the 3 points. It's been a good week for the club. We showed resilience. We were brave on the ball and took our chances. We were clinical. With the character we've shown in the past few weeks, we had belief to the end, and Hamza pulls off a great goal. Delighted for the boys, and the man of the match in that game was Nico Raskin. It's amazing to score and make the stadium a bit calmer. The gaffer wanted us to go aggressive and put the pressure. It was really good, and I don't think too many people would argue with what he has to say on that one, because Raskin certainly he was able to go out in that match, and whatever the instruction was from Barry Ferguson, he was able to execute it, ably assisted by Barron as well.
Yeah, and aggressive, I think that's the key word, Peter. I think the Rangers were very aggressive. I think Barry spoke about that in every press conference, being aggressive, being on the front foot, not sitting off with teams. And I think they've got the legs and energy to go and do that now, particularly in the middle of the park. And as I said, that was the key to it. Raskin, Barron, Diomande up, squeezing up behind it, up close to Dessers, getting after Celtic, not letting Celtic play the ball at the back and play through them. So, yeah, I think that was the key to winning the game. And I think that James Tavernier hit the nail on the head there. It was a great performance, and they showed resilience, and they had to, because I think a lot of people watching that game at 2 each, whether you're a Celtic fan or a Rangers fan, would have thought, Celtic going to win this now. So to show that character and resilience to go and win at the end is a fair in the cap for everyone at Rangers.
Just makes you look back, and there was such a positive result there. Reduces the gap to 13 points. I'm sure that it will not stop the procession towards the title for Celtic. It only slows it down possibly till after the break. But other than that, I think overall there is certainly a sense of optimism when you get such a big result at that, and when Rangers still have something to play for in the European games.
Yeah, they have. Listen, they've still got plenty to play for. Obviously, the league's gone. The Rangers fans will be frustrated at those 2 games that they lost at home. Because if they win those 2, it's maybe 6 or 7 points. You think there's a squeak. They're still winning the league, but those 2 games just took it away from them, losing those games at Ibrox. But yeah, they've got some massive games coming up. Athletic Bilbao, I think, will be a really, really tough game. They're obviously one of the favourites to win it. They've got, home. I think the finals in Bilbao, so they'll be one of the favourites to go and win it and to beat Rangers. But if Rangers can go over there and get a positive result in the first leg, then you never know. But yeah, I think everything's positive in terms of Barry, and they'll be bursting. I'm sure they'll have a few drinks tonight to celebrate, and maybe Barry will give them a day off tomorrow. I think the staff might be having a few beers as well with Dodsley and Griggs. So yeah, I think if you're a Rangers supporter, you're looking at the future a little bit more confidence, and it's brighter skies than it was maybe 3 or 4 months ago.
Yeah, we've been very, very positive about Rangers and what they did. If you're a Celtic fan out there, well, what about the performance of Celtic? What about Brendan Rodgers coming up against Barry Ferguson and coming up short? Give us your thoughts on that. All the positives lie with Rangers for that first half performance, and then to be able to come back when Celtic have pegged them back to 2-2 and score the winner as well. So many positives around Rangers. Rangers fans, give us your thoughts on that as well, Blair.
Craig, a Rangers fan on the Facebook feed, he says, it's funny some Celtic fans saying they're a dead rubber. I don't think the Celtic players believed that in the second half. They were certainly going for it as if it was all to play for. John, a Celtic fan on the Facebook feed, we deserved nothing from that game. Our midfield was atrocious and our defence was terrible. I suppose we had a couple of injuries and nothing really to play for, and we're on course for another treble, but still highlighting just how poor Celtic were, especially in that first half.
Yeah, I think that irks Celtic fans the last 3 games against Rangers. I know Celtic are going to go and win the treble, but I think that just plants a seed. If you're a Celtic fan, you think to yourself, maybe the gap's not as big as we think it is. You know, it is in terms of points, Peter, but
yeah.
I think that Celtic, as I said at the start of the show, I think Celtic are very consistent against the rest. And if Rangers can sort that out, sort that struggling against teams at Ibrox, struggling against teams that sit in, and they can take it down to the Old Firm games, then you could see a wee bit of a shift in momentum next season. But yeah, listen, Celtic will lick their wins and still win the treble, but I think if you're a Celtic fan, there's something in your head about the last 3 games. You're thinking that, you know, Rangers are not as far ahead as we think we are.
Yeah, one here says, poor result and performance from Celtic. Fair play to Rangers. They went and did a job on Celtic. No excuses. I'm going to actually just, on that point, Tam, and I think to put things in perspective, you know, I think it's a great result for Rangers, a shot in the arm for Barry. Whether it's enough to get him the job, because there are so many different situations that can materialise there with a new group of investors who might want their own man, might want somebody that they think is going to follow their game plan, or maybe they'll be influenced by what Barry's achieved. And certainly from some of the group of investors who were there at Ibrox in midweek, they'll be looking at that atmosphere and thinking, wow, Europe, brilliant, Celtic, win there, great. Maybe this is the boy for Rangers as far as the manager's concerned. The one thing I would say, though, Tam, is would some Celtic fans be looking at it and thinking, well, wait a minute, without a Callum McGregor, and obviously Ida come on, and they're looking for people to make a contribution. Maeda made a contribution. Hatate made a contribution. But again, they did not replace Kyogo in that January transfer window. And it's come back to bite them.
Yeah, I think if you're looking at that squad today, Peter, I think you looked at the Celtic bench and there was a lot of young kids on it that you know, to just come through from the B team, and you're thinking, not really strength and depth there. I thought that they missed the big boy Trusty. I thought they missed McGregor. And you're right. They rotate the phone now, so they're playing Maeda through the middle, and if it doesn't work, they take one of the wingers off, put him wide and put Ida on, and that's it. They've nobody else. You're right, there's nobody else to come on and try to change it up. Yang obviously can come on, he came on today as well. So I think if you're looking at the squad in general, as a Celtic fan, then you're thinking, we've got a long way to go. We've had a good season, they've done well in Europe this season, but they need to go and strengthen again, Peter, because as it looks as if Rangers are going to get that investment in the summer, and if they go and spend a few quid, you know, you can say to yourself, you know, Rangers, as I said, if they can sort the form out against the rest, then I don't think that the gap is as big as people have made it out to be this season. I think that's been evident in the last 3 games, Celtic Rangers.
Yeah, getting ever closer to the end of our broadcast, so there's lots of Rangers fans rightly enjoying the moment. A 3-2 win at Celtic Park and a brilliant goal to seal the victory as well, Blair.
A few Celtic fans, just as we were talking there, a little bit critical of their midfield specifically today. Miss McGregor so much, he's on metronome. Players looked a bit spooked. Another on here, William, very harsh on Arne Engels. Engels is a dud and McKeown is not fit to be in Calmack's position. Just interesting, as you were mentioning there, Tam, the Celtic bench. I'll just read you out from this afternoon. Sinisalo, the goalkeeper, Greg Taylor, Anthony Ralston, Dane Murray, Francis Turley, Yang, Ida, Jude Bonner and Johnny Kenny, for a team that has so much money in the back. That is a bench that you would have to admit is lacking a bit of quality. So interesting to see if Celtic in the summer go and strengthen and go and get that strength and depth once again. Yeah,
they've obviously got Kieran Tierney coming in. I think that you know you've seen Schlupp and he's looked okay. I didn't think he looked great today, Peter. No, and that's a big game. I think that when you're a Celtic supporter, these are the games you're judged on. Old Firm games, and I didn't think he did a great game. I thought the pace of the game caught him out. I thought the intensity of the game caught him out, which is understandable. It's his first Old Firm game, and you'd maybe give him a pass with that. But you've got Kieran Tierney coming in, who's top draw for me, top draw signing for Celtic. You know, playing with Arsenal at the minute. So there's guys of that calibre and ilk that are going to come in and really strengthen Celtic. But You know, as Blair said there, reading the bench out, I think if you're a Celtic fan, you're looking 60 minutes, 70 minutes into the game, thinking, who are we going to bring on? You've brought either on at half-time, you think, Yang's the only guy that can really come on and make a difference. You're not going to put one of the young boys in, so I think Celtic need to go and strengthen their squad again this summer.
Yeah, absolutely. But all the positives with Rangers, some great performances and some great fight as well, which I think we've got to highlight, Tam. Desire to go that extra mile, to work hard, their work rate, their pressing, their ability to create. All the elements for me that Barry has managed to get out of this squad is something that Philippe Clement just quite simply couldn't at the end.
No, he couldn't, and whether that you've got to give the players, you can't just absolve them any blame, Peter. I think that the players have got to take a good look at themselves as well, because it's the same squad of players, and it's Barry's come in, he's gave them a wee bit of injection, maybe the training's changed, a different voice, but the players have got to take the responsibility as well. They kind of threw the manager under the bus at the end, getting beat for Queen's Park and St Mirren. So yeah, Rangers have been a lot better under Barry. And it's just, I think if you're a Rangers supporter, you're looking at their performances in Europe, their performances against Celtic the last 3 games, and you've lost 4 games at home, back to back, and you're thinking, what is going wrong here? What is the problem with the players? Can they not handle playing at Ibrox? Can they not handle the pressure at Ibrox? Can they not handle teams sitting in? Because they're a totally different team away from home.
Yeah, absolutely. Blair?
Something that we've not spoke about yet, the Rangers fans being back in the stadium. I wonder how much that played a part in Rangers being able to go on and get that victory at the end. How many times have we seen when one team takes the lead in a full stadium, their own fans, the other team can't quite work their way back into it without their away fans there. Joe on the Facebook feed is a Celtic fan, but he says, great game and Rangers deserve their win. Celtic fan here, but credit where it's due, and a far better atmosphere with both sets of fans in there.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't be fooled by all this. I'll be blunt about it. That whole 2,500 is just a token gesture. It's a complete load of nonsense. Get the 7,000 Rangers fans back in. Get the 7,000 Celtic fans back in at Ibrox, and stop listening to petty fans who just can't bear the opposition fans jumping up and down and celebrating. This was a classic case today where you watch the Rangers players when they scored, Tam. They ran over to that corner to celebrate with their supporters. That's what it means. When you get to the 7,000, which I personally think is a great figure, because you get a real sense of occasion, that the whole place cackles with the excitement and the passion of it. It doesn't actually, I'm not going to mince my words here, there are some elements within both supporters singing songs that I don't like. But as far as a spectacle's concerned, when they're celebrating goals, the tackles, the atmosphere just at times is unbelievable. That's what makes this derby special.
Yeah, it does. And listen, there was no away fans at all. It wasn't the same game, Peter. Even you're talking about, it's a token gesture. Even 2,500 today made a big difference for me. In that corner, you could hear them before the game, you could hear them during the game. If there's a little lull in the game, and maybe Rangers were on top, you could hear them getting behind the team, and that gives you a lift as a player as well. Whereas there was nobody before. But listen, I think the Rangers now being more competitive head to head with Celtic, I think you might see a change in the mentality at Ibrox.
Why? Just because they can compete?
I think that was a big factor in it, Peter, because Celtic were going to Ibrox and, let's be honest, they were wiping the floor with Rangers all the time, and that led to thinking, we need to get some of our own fans in here to give us an advantage.
Yeah.
So I think that Rangers being more competitive head to head now might lead to a change in mentality in the Rangers boardroom.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if that is the case. It's just, as ever in Scottish football, it's classic Scottish football, just pettiness. Whether it's in Glasgow or whether it's over in Edinburgh, restricting away supporters. That's what the game's about. Home and away fans celebrating, and there's nothing better than you see teams celebrating, players celebrating with 7,000 Rangers fans at Celtic Park, 7,000 at Celtic fans at Ibrox Park. It is absolutely amazing. And by the way, I know somebody says Dublin's just put a message up saying 2,500 is not a token gesture. The Rangers fans could be heard all day today. Well, whoop-de-doo. Because when I was in the press box at many an Old Firm derby, the allocation is 7,000 or 8,000, and at Hampden Park it's 50-50, and it's absolutely magnificent. That's the spectacle of it. It is one of the most famous derbies in the world, certainly not for technical football at times, but for the atmosphere, for the history of the poison of it at times, yes, we absolutely get that. But sometimes there can be some really good banter in these games, and sometimes some of the fans actually sing some decent songs. But overall, I think today is definitely about Rangers and the positivity around the way Barry Ferguson went about his job. Do you think he deserves it on a full-time basis? Does it need a longer-term view and a clear business strategy for Rangers that does not involve knee-jerk reaction or indeed any kind of sentimentality or nostalgia attached to Barry Ferguson, the player? Does it need someone to say, has he got what it takes as a manager, tactically, long-term? Is he the right ambassador in that dugout for Rangers and the right technical manager that can take Rangers forward and win the title? Because that's all it's about, Tam, isn't it?
Yeah, as if they've got to start winning trophies, Peter. It's okay, we're talking about today and Rangers, going and beating Celtic, but at the end of the day, Celtic will probably go and win another treble or another trophy this season unless Rangers perform a miracle and win the Europa League. It's another season without a trophy. But just getting back to what you're saying about Barry Ferguson, I personally think that the new owners will want to bring their own guy in. But maybe there's still a role at Rangers for Barry, maybe as an assistant or some sort of first team coach, because I think he gets Rangers, and I think you've seen that the last 4 or 5 weeks since he's come in. A lot of people were critical of Barry. Oh, his managerial record at Alloa and Celtic, he's not ready for Rangers. But I think he gets Rangers, and Rangers is his club. And I think you've seen today, he's not just a shouter and screamer and going to go in and kick arses. He's actually got a bit of tactical acumen about him as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's something that's underrated with Barry Ferguson. A lot of people have this perception of him. The reality is he's a man who eats, sleeps and drinks football, and of course his love of Rangers is never in doubt. He stepped into Celtic Park. He'd already in the pre-match press conference told everybody his Rangers side would go at Celtic. They would try the high press. They would play and try and, over 90 minutes just follow through on his instructions. And boy, did they do that. 2-0 up at half-time. Nico Raskin getting the first goal. Diomande with the second. Stunned Celtic Park into silence. There was always going to be a fight back. It did indeed materialise. Maeda, Hatate. But then Rangers just somehow managed to summon up the energy again to get that goal from Igamane to win it by 3-2. The big question, is that one of those results along with the European performances that maybe can give Barry a fighting chance of getting the job? Blair, fans will undoubtedly be enjoying this. If you're a Rangers fan, for Celtic fans, they'll be looking at it and saying, as Tam rightly mentions, 3 games, hard to take, but the title's coming soon.
Yep, just a couple of contrasting emotions here from Rangers and Celtic. Jan Parker Douglas, a Rangers fan here. Barry has a good team in Neil McCann and Billy Dodds in the background to help with the tactics. I don't think it's maybe should be underrated just how important that backroom is alongside Barry, given he is a novice manager. You guys obviously know these guys a lot inside out and know what they'll be bringing to the table. You've hit the nail on the head there, Peter, with this idea that the Celtic fans, these 3 games now are playing, it seems to be playing on the Celtic fans' mind. Dublin again here on the feed. We're going to win the league, that's what matters. We have to be critical of the team when it's deserved. That's 3 big games now versus Rangers, and we've been poor to average.
Yeah, I like William Logan's take on it. He says, we know the league is Celtic's, but today Fergie has learned from Brendan Rodgers. It was a lesson today. He said he didn't see a difference in the Rangers team. Brendan Rodgers said that under Barry Ferguson from when Clement was the manager. Well, quite simply, there is a difference. They've managed to win that game. And this was a game, by the way, that I think when I'm talking about giving Barry Ferguson full credit, this was a game where Brendan Rodgers in the pre-match was saying, okay, we were beaten at Ibrox. We're going out for a bit of revenge today. It didn't materialise because Rangers went about their business professionally and won the game.
Yeah, I thought Brendan, obviously his comments, I don't know if it was to get mind games, a little bit of a dig at Rangers in terms of, they're still the same team, they're still the same tactics. I've watched them, but I couldn't see a Clement team going to Celtic and winning. Under him. So you've got to give Barry credit, you've got to give Rangers credit for the tactics. It was an interesting one. Celtic play the one striker. I was wondering if Rangers would play the 3 centre-backs, you know, in terms of just picking up one. He did. They went with the 3 again, and the 3 in the middle of the park, and they really solidified the central area for Rangers and didn't let Celtic play through them. So, no, I think, as I said to you, I think it's a day for Rangers. I think Celtic will have their day in the sun at the end of the season, probably with a treble, but I think if you're a Rangers fan, you know, you're looking 2-3 months ago, depths of despair, you know, you're thinking you're a million miles behind Celtic. All of a sudden, you know, you've beat them at 3-0 at Ibrox, you've ran them close in the cup final, you've beat them a day, you've got a possible takeover coming in. So from being the depth of despair, you're looking at going, by the way, with a bit of investment and some quality players in, we can close that gap with Celtic.
And our reporter Blair at this moment, even though you're talking a lot of sense, Blair's not really caring about what you have to say. He's just looking for flights to Bilbao in the price range that we can afford, Tam. I think the general feeling today, and rightly so, Blair, has to be full marks to Rangers, full marks to Barry Ferguson. Their players stood up and they won the game.
Yep. Just before we go, Peter, I'll leave you with some extended quotes from Barry Ferguson after that win. He said, "I've been trying to drum into the boys that there's more needed at Rangers than just being a good player. It takes a certain type to be a very good Rangers player. My group of players are certainly starting to show that."
Yeah, you can't argue with the evidence. At the end of the day, in the derby at Celtic Park, well, as Ian Crocker said, the Old Firm derby, the Glasgow derby, call it what you will. It's Celtic against Rangers. It finished Celtic 2, Rangers 3. Tomorrow, Tam will be here with me in the studio. We'll be discussing it in greater detail again, getting the after-match reaction from managers and players as well. At the end of it, it was Brendan Rodgers against Barry Ferguson. It was Barry Ferguson who came out in top with his players executing his game plan to a T, and it was Igamane who was the star man, scoring that all-important winning goal in the second half. Hope you enjoyed our post-match reaction right across our social media. Thanks to Blair Malloy and, of course, to Tam McManus, and from myself, Peter Martin. Join us if you can, 4 o'clock on the live feed, or watch it at your leisure. It's PLZ Soccer, the football show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel tomorrow at 4 o'clock and beyond. Hopefully you can get it if you download our app as well. It'll have all the breaking news, and we'll also bring you reaction from that Dundee derby up there at Tannadice, Dundee United against Dundee. Our man Patrick Mullen is on social media right now, keeping you right up to date with what's happening in that game, and he'll get reaction from the managers as well. We'll look back over all the Scottish Premiership fixtures, but today in Glasgow, in the East End, in their very own backyard, Celtic defeated by Rangers. It finished Celtic 2, Rangers 3.